Broadcasting from the Big Peach of Atlanta, Georgia. A show unfiltered, unscripted, raw. The Patriot Angle Podcast.
Alrighty, guys, welcome to another edition of the Patriot Angle Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Gardner, and this is a very, very special edition called Unfiltered with Michael Gardner. Joining us today, guys, we have Mike Goddard from Florida, and he is the host of Mike and Mike on a Mike podcast. How are you doing, Mike? Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, doing good, doing really good, man. I'm excited to be on. I know we tried to do this, man, last year. I think we tried to get together, but yeah, it's good, man. Excited to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's been a couple times, and I know, you know, we were dealing with COVID and crazy schedules and restrictions, and don't get me started with that. But yeah,
Whew.
yeah. Like literally a dust off the shoulder, so to speak, right? We're somewhat getting back into normalization, right?
Yeah, thank goodness for the Olympics, man. It gave the media something else to talk about. So
Yeah,
I'm excited about that, man.
yeah. I was getting tired of, you know, hearing about Joe Biden and, you know, and everything else. You know what I mean?
My gosh, yeah, man. Yeah, no, it seems things start to seem to be settling down a little bit, which is nice. It's a nice pace.
Yeah. And I see you're slowly getting back into your podcast, right? You've been taking a break from it.
Yeah, so we had an issue. We wanted to put out quality, and we were like, you know, if we're going to do this, we really wanted to have some quality to it. So
Sure.
I serve as the family pastor of Discovery Church down here in Fort Pierce, but I'm also part of the I'm administrative assistant for the Treasure Coast Baptist Association. So what that means is we have like 65 different churches in our association, and we sold our building, and the association kind of rents offices out of Discovery Church. Well, since we finally have a building with Discovery Church, we were building this podcast room, this production room, podcast room. So churches from the association could come. They have a place to film, you know what I'm saying, with quality, just to record. And, you know, me and Mike, we just get to luck out because, you know, we're all mixed up in this. So we get to use the podcast room as well. And but it was just like the season of life that the both of us were in. The other Mike, the man with the handsome chocolate face is what I always call him. But he's our student director, and man, he just went through the ringer with stuff. His mom just actually passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, the celebrations this Saturday. But, you know, having to deal with that, and then he has a looming possible engagement happening, you know, him and his girlfriend he's been with a while, and just the pressures of ministry, and goodness, dude, it was a lot. So we were like, you know what, let's chill. But after the first year, let's really focus in and get serious about this.
Absolutely. So you're basically broadcasting your podcast through the church there. There's a little studio that y'all set up.
Right. So we have our little podcast room. And then we mostly use, just because I'm such a noob at this, man. We use Anchor, which of course is connected with Spotify, and then we do the Facebook. We were doing Facebook Live, but what we're doing now is doing like YouTube Premiere.
Okay.
Scheduling it out on Fridays, recording it earlier, scheduling it on Fridays, and then it shares to Facebook as well. So
sure.
Yep.
I mean, you pretty much have to you have to test the waters, so to speak. You know, obviously you guys are a new set of hosts, to the podcast world, so to speak. And
Right.
it's always good to test the waters out, Mike. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, man, definitely.
So, and with Anchor, we use Anchor here on the show, and it's a great aspect. It really is. Not only do they get the word out for you, but like you said, you're being launched to, 3 major podcast platforms such as Spotify, Google, and Apple, which I think those are the elite ones. You know what I mean?
Right. And I don't even think I pay for anything on Anchor. I believe it's free.
Yeah, it is. It is a free system. Yeah, it's a free software. They do have a premium service on there, such as what's called Spotify Green Room. I don't know if you are familiar with that.
Mm.
What that is if you sign up for Spotify Green Room, you can actually take your podcasting to the next level. And basically, every time someone clicks your link, right, your personal link to your podcast that goes to Spotify, right, they will see both audio and video. So they'll actually see your video content through the magical wonders of Spotify Green Room. So you might want to check that out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we definitely want to take it to the next level. We don't think we're like nobody special. But I think there is some man, there's just some credence to what we have to say. I mean, we're not your typical Christians, and it's sad that I have to say typical Christians.
Yeah.
Like that in itself one is sad, but we just we just want people to know, hey, there's a better way. Love, man, you know what I'm saying? Get along. Stop all the divisiveness. Like, dude, what would it look like if we could actually all just get on the same stinking page? You know what I'm saying?
Well, sadly, Mike, and I hate to bring politics into this, man, but and you know where I'm going with this, and I'll be brief about it because it's okay. We all have different opinions, and that's what's great about being a human being, right? Opinions.
Yep, that's right.
But opinions, in my aspect, have literally almost destroyed our nation as a society because we've become so divided as a country. Where you simply are being attacked on free speech, and I'm even seeing that, with churches today. There's a big pastor up in Tennessee. I forgot his name, but he's all over like Facebook and YouTube. It's a really, really like, it's not the biggest church in the world, but like it doesn't really matter, big or small. They have
right.
What's big is he has a big heart, and what the media and what the federal government has done to this man, it breaks my heart, where, the church, it's getting attacked every single day, and that's terrible,
Well, and here's the reason the church is getting so attacked is for so long, the church, man, they weren't approaching things with grace. You know what I'm saying? There was like the same grace that was shown to them. They weren't showing anybody else. And so for so long, people had this idea that the church was this place where if you go, you're going to get judged. And you know what I'm saying? You better smell like them and look like them. You better have nice clothes. And we got a bad rap, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what threw me off, dude. When I was in high school, like I was forced to go to this youth group, man. And it was just, man, they were so judgmental and like nasty and mean. And I'm like, dude, Christians suck, bro. And so what the world sees is that's what Christians have. They have this agenda. One of the things that we really have done wrong, a lot of churches, and they think they're doing right, but they'll stand outside of these abortion clinics, okay, and they'll picket and they'll riot and they'll yell at these moms, these ladies who maybe were going to be moms coming out, and instead of yelling at them and like chastise, man, we should be there hugging them and saying, hey, how can we help? How can we serve you? Like, sorry, it got to this point, but what can we do? You know what I'm saying? Like, the world has seen us do some nasty things to people who are hurting. And it's like, I wouldn't want to be a part of that either.
Yeah, I've seen this. And I mean, this is, sadly, folks, I mean, you're hearing it from the man himself, Mike, from, Mike and Mike on a Mike podcast. Mike, this is happening with churches today. This is this is not the church. I mean, this almost sounds like I don't know what to say. I mean, have politics intervene with spiritual aspects and religion? I mean, that's what it feels like.
Most definitely. Look, you got we're not, whoever is president, whoever is in charge, like, we're supposed to honor them, okay? As Christians, we're supposed to honor them. We don't have to agree with them, but Lord knows there's been quite a few leaders that I just didn't agree with. But you should still honor them, right? And we're not supposed to get in the political game. We don't use the pulpit to preach politics. We use the pulpit to preach love, right, and forgiveness. We preach the gospel, and unfortunately, on both sides, man, it's crept in. And I was a little surprised, like, by Franklin Graham. I know his heart, but like, he was really big on the Trump train. And it was like, bro, no, that's not what we're supposed to do as Christians. Like, we're kind of like impartial when it comes to politics. You know what I mean? Like, but hey, it is what it is. And man, churches, a lot of freedoms that churches have are coming under attack, man.
You speak about Trump, and the whole MAGA movement and stuff like that. Trump, let's set the standard right. Trump was no perfect person. There's only one perfect person, and that's the God. That's the man upstairs. And he wasn't perfect. Yes, he had a big mouth, and sometimes he should have controlled his mouth, right? His mouth got him in trouble, right?
But doesn't that do it to all of us? All of us, our mouth gets us in trouble. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. But here's the thing. Like, I think he meant well, when he was president. I think he wanted to, turn the tides a little bit for the country, heal it a little bit, because, shortly after Trump took presidency, our country was still in healing, through the past administration and the division and, everything, we still are, as a country, we're still healing. This kind of relates as a spinoff I just had prior to this episode with Grace Hung. I don't know if you tuned into that, but we got into very much into this spiritual background, and wow, I mean, I was speechless. I mean, I let her talk more on that show than I did. I mean, she got into stuff that I didn't even know, like, our country needs to heal, and it is very much alive, and nature. She got into nature and the spiritual background and some religious, and she's a very, very intelligent woman. This woman lives in Costa Rica, don't know her, never met her, and she's been listening to the show. And I mean, we got into a conversation, Mike, where it was like, wow. I'm like, oh, I need a cup of coffee after this one.
Yeah. Well, when look, man, I loved how much Trump loves this country. Like, you could really tell he loves this, and he wants to see this country prosper. I mean, like, he had some great ideas and stuff he did. Like, when he said, I'm going to do this in my first 100 days, bro, he did it in his first 100 days. You know what I'm saying? Like, he rocked it out. The only problem was the mouth thing, and like he was very combative,
Yeah. Well, he was competitive, because he's a former New Yorker. Yeah. A former New Yorker such as myself. I mean, I get Trump. I know what he's like. I know the mentality of a New Yorker or somebody from New Jersey or the tri-state area. Because, I mean, I was born and, bred up in that area, so to speak, so I get the mentality. I get the competitiveness. I get the, the loud mouth and sometimes, talking over somebody. I get it, because it's, when you live up there, it's more of on a business angle than a, hey, let's be friends. You know what I mean? Like, that, it's always been like that, and you can go into like just about any type of business or industry up there. I mean, even churches, sometimes I'll say this, they are very competitive. Not to sound, harsh on that, but just the way they express themselves. They're more like, how can I say it? More energetic, the way they get into their wording. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. all you guys, all you New Yorkers, man. I know plenty down here because Port St. Lucie is like the unofficial capital of New York. I think that's where all you guys decide to retire is Port St. Lucie. But so I have quite a few friends that are from New York, and it's like you guys are always on the defense. You're always ready to jump to the like, you know what I'm saying? Like y'all are in the ready, man. But hey, I love it, man. I you know, the world needs all kinds of people, dude. You know.
Yeah, and we see that here in Atlanta too. Atlanta's full of what we call crossbreds. That's the new word, I guess, now or something. Where they, you know, we used to call them snowbirds, but they're called crossbreds now because they're coming from up north and they're resettling down in the South, whether it's Florida, Georgia, or, you know, Tennessee.
Right.
Yeah, we see that a lot. Like Atlanta's full of New Yorkers.
Wow. That I didn't know that. Although I did go to Six Flags just recently, and it was you know, there were some pretty poor employees there, and they were all from New York. So,
the one was that Six Flags over Georgia,
bro. Something's going on with y'all Six Flags, man. Like we went over the winter break, like in between Christmas and New Year's, okay. And I understand, you know, stuff has to shut down for some reasons, but man, like you're talking about, like 5 rides were open, no one wanted to help anybody, everyone had attitudes. I'm like, and you know, look, we're in the theme park capital of the world. You know what I'm saying? Orlando is 2 hours from me. So when I go to a theme park, like I'm expecting Universal quality or Disney quality or even Busch Gardens, man. Shoot.
Yeah, that family entertainment, right? I mean,
bro, they got some work to do, man. They got some work.
You know, it's sad too, because that, Mike, you just labeled something. You know, you made a good point. You know, that culture, it's the society we have become. We've become less friendlier. COVID, really, whether you want to look at it as a, you know, a virus or sometimes, you know, what I've been calling it is like the ultimate plan, or a lot of the media, you know, conservative media has been labeling this whole thing as, you know, the great reset, so to speak, in our society, which, I mean, if you look at it, it really is. It's turning into that, you know, where it's dividing people, it's dividing families, it's putting hatred in people's hearts, you know, it's making people less friendlier, you know, like I just had on my show a couple episodes back, Brad from U.S. Freedom Fighters. And I'll get into that a little bit, you know, who they are and everything, because they are a very, very good friend of the podcast here and personal friends of mine that I've acquired over this last year. And, you know, even Brad, you know, the host of his show, you know, he had said, you know, back in the day, you would able to, you know, shake somebody's hand with a smile. Hey, man, how you doing? How was your week? You know, how's work going, family and all that? You don't even see people doing that anymore. You see like the cold shoulder, so to speak, right? The eyes kind of like darken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's been a dark spell on this country in the last like few years now, and what's going on, Mike? Do you have any views and thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's given people an excuse to really kind of to be jerks. You know what I'm saying? To be impersonable, and I'm telling you what, introverts love this. Like the introverts are having a ball because they get to wear masks, they get to, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't talk to me. But then you have those extroverts out there who crave being around people. And so one of my best friends, our lead pastor, Tim, he's an extrovert. And dude, COVID was having to be locked up. Like we couldn't meet with people, you know, like he thrives on people. He loves people. And then not being able to meet with them on Sundays and during the week. And dude, it almost kind of depressed him. You know what I'm saying? Like he loved that, but it has, dude, this has given people an excuse to be divisive and to be nasty. And we are more divided in this country right now than we have been in a long time.
You know, a lot of people are starting to say, you know, like the times that we're living in right now, you mentioned the word divided, right? You know, we have to be more united than divided, right? And we're not seeing that. I think our society is more divided now than it once was in the early 1900s, the 1800s. And a lot of it is being influenced through through social media, through the mainstream media, through the internet, right? Politicians influencing this. Excuse me.
Yep.
Your Nancy Pelosi's, your AOC's, your everybody. It's really baffling, and we pretty much are in a spiritual awakening of grace. I just mentioned Grace Hung that I had on my show just yesterday. We got into this spiritual awakening. Our country is literally in a spiritual awake, where it needs to show what side it's going to go to, whether it is a dark path or through a positive path of energy and spirituality and religion. And I mean, we got into something. I mean, well, I have to have her back on my show because we have to finish that podcast sooner or later. But I mean, seriously, Mike, we have to choose of what our society will become in the next 20, 30, 50, 100 years from now. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's really woken the church up to that as well. Here's the sad thing though, man. The Bible says it's going to get worse before it's just going to continue to get worse before the end times. And man, if you look at the span of just how we had a couple spikes, when I'm up some ups and downs, but this is a huge decline, like over the last 30 years. I mean, just think about that. It's crazy. With not only that. Now, look, I'm not a big naturalist with global warming and all this stuff. I mean, I'm sure we have some huge effect with some of the junk we've been doing. Yes,
right.
Of course, we have an effect. But man, with all the natural disasters, dude, it's been insane with all these storms and fires. And is California still burning? Are they still on fire?
I don't mean to laugh about that, but just
I'm
the way
just saying,
you said that,
they've been burning forever. I don't even know if they put the fire out yet.
California, to be honest with you, Mike, I don't even look at that as a state anymore. I look at that as a country. The way their politics in California, my goodness.
I just heard, check this out. One of my good friends had just told me, don't know how much, I didn't look into it, but he said that they're actually giving the homeless money. They're just giving them money, and food stamps and this and that if they're homeless. So if you're homeless, they're going to hook you up with money. They're not going to help you get into a house, into a job and this and that. We're going to throw money at you.
Yeah.
How backward is that? You don't treat, if my leg's falling off, you don't put a Band-Aid on it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what we become. We become a Band-Aid society. We Band-Aid everything in life today,
Well, let's fix why this is wrong. Why did your leg get blown, fall off or whatever? Why did and let's fix that instead of just instead of just putting a Band-Aid on it and hoping it goes away. Dude, look, I just recently I cut the mess out of my thumb and it would not stop bleeding. I put Band-Aids, I put all this stuff, man. Finally, I just had to put some pressure on it. And just keep holding. And maybe that's what we need to do in this country is put a little bit of pressure and just keep holding. You know what I'm saying?
I hear you. And you mentioned homeless, right? Yes, we're supposed to take care of our homeless, right?
Of course.
But the way we're taking care of them is not necessarily the correct way. And this is what I see. I can recap on that. Obviously, homeless is usually a big issue in, inner cities, right? Mainly, Democratic run cities, right?
Portland.
Yeah. We see that here in Atlanta. We have a huge homeless problem. And we just had a political shift, so to speak, in our city with the former mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms, stepping down as mayor. And we have a new mayor here in Atlanta, and he's okay. I don't want to say his name because it's really, there's no like, yeah, he's good, like, no, he's, yeah. I have comments on him, but I'll keep it like that. But anyway, like our homeless here in Atlanta, it's gotten worse, where they're literally taking over the streets. I mean, you go to I'm sure you've been in Atlanta. I've seen that on your podcast episodes where you actually drove through Atlanta into Tennessee and all that, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But the Midtown area of Atlanta, beautiful, Mike. Probably the most elegant area of the city is Midtown Atlanta. You see five-star restaurants, prime rib that are like, $60, $80, $90, $100 plates. People pay good money. A lot of these folks coming from Buckhead, which is, your other elegant area where you have rich and famous people living, celebrities, movie stars, such as that, come into these restaurants. They can't enjoy a meal because the homeless are, camping right in front of the doors.
Yeah. Where there's we drove through. I think it was the downtown area. There's a huge mall. Turner Field was a little bit before. It was huge. On our way to Six Flags, and under this big bridge connecting thing with all these roads, and it was a homeless camp. Man, I mean, it was tons of tents, and I was blown away. I was like, good night, man. I didn't expect to see that, not
off of 75, right?
Area. Yeah.
Right off of I-75. Yeah, you see all the tents, and it's sad. It really breaks your heart because there could be so much more done to prevent all this, through counseling, through mental health evaluation, through the spiritual guide. There's countries that actually do exactly what I just mentioned. And I mean, the countries that you see, the homeless problem, they don't have any of that. Sure, there's homeless all over the world. I mean, you have homeless people in Israel, you have homeless people in the UK, you have homeless people all over the world, but the amount of homeless people isn't nowhere compared to what we have here in the States, Yeah.
And it's insane because we're such a rich country. You know what I mean? We have a lot. And let's just put it that way. We have a lot, and we have the opportunity to provide a lot. And and this is what I talk about, talking about loving people, man. Love that person. Have a genuine love for that person and really help them out. Don't just throw money at a problem and expect it to go away. Dude, that's how it grows bigger. Just throw money at it. No. It takes people. It takes it takes sacrifice. If I'm honest, it takes you getting out of your comfort zone and investing in someone that probably doesn't want it. And at the end of the day, dude, some people aren't going to want it. I've noticed this, man. I have a brother-in-law who's been going through such a hard time, and he's not to the point to where he wants to get better. And if someone doesn't want to get better, they'll never get better, no matter what you do for them. It's got to come to a point too, to where you want to change the situation,
Yeah. Well, that brings me up to my next point. My wording might be off a little bit, but I mean, doesn't it say in the Bible to change from within who you were to make a better person of who you want to be? I mean, I know my wording might be a little off, but I think you kind of get my drift of where I'm kind of going with this.
Yeah. So just like Paul, who used to be Saul. Okay. Saul persecuted Christians all over Jerusalem. And I mean, it was insane. And he had this encounter with Jesus, and it changed him. He became changed. He became changed so much that he changed his name to Paul instead of Saul. But he was changed because of Christ. And now as he's changed, Christ working through him, he wants to go out and show that same love that he was shown.
Right.
And if you think about it, dude, we've all been forgiven. We've all been shown love and grace when we didn't deserve it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's once you're changed and you break that old habit and those old selfish ways, man, you almost, there's this drive just to help, or there should be. There should be, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah. Well, like my mother had quoted, God bless her. I love you, Mom. Like she's no longer with us, but my mother once quoted, before she had passed, to respect those. Wait, let me rephrase that. Respect those of how you would like to be respected in return.
right.
Respect is given, or excuse me, respect is earned, not given. I said that backwards. Respect is earned, not given. You need to respect people in order to get the respect back. And what we're seeing now is a total selfish society of what we become. We're more or less, I've said this the other day with Brad, from U.S. Freedom Fighters, that have we become too competitive? Are we, as human beings, humanity, are we becoming more digitalized in society now, where we rely more on AI and advanced technology than living in the basics? I think, Mike, we have to go back to the basics of life, the principles of life. You know what I mean?
Right. In that quote that you said from your mom, that's the golden rule. Treat those the way you want to be treated. Like
Exactly.
that's the golden rule. That's like the main thing Jesus was all about. And then he's like, I'll take it even further. Treat them better than how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if we all just treated each other better? Like if we all served each other, you wouldn't have to be like, where's mine? No, it's coming around. And you don't do it because you're waiting for the comeback. No, you do it because, man, you just want to bless somebody,
Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as
Absolutely.
the digital age, man, that's taken the whole personal touch out of everything. And I find myself wrapped up in it too. If I want something, I may not necessarily go to Walmart and get it. I'll order it on Amazon and get it the next day. Just because, man, sometimes I'll be up in Walmart and it tests my faith. You know what I'm saying? Like my testimony is coming under attack. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about Walmart, peeps, but good night. But you know what I'm saying? So I don't have to interact. And this is the way I think everyone's gotten. So we don't have to interact with people. Yeah. What can we do from the computer? What can we do? And then COVID just like pushed that way over the limit, because it was like, that was your only way to do things.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Hold that thought, Mike. I got to take a quick break. We'll be right back, guys. We have on the show today Mike from Mike and Mike on a Mic podcast. We'll be right back, guys, after these words. Don't touch the dial.
Hulu has live TV.
Hulu has live sports?
They do.
Hulu has live news?
That is correct. And Hulu also has
Live talent show.
It also has over 75 live channels.
Flip like cable, stream like Hulu. Time to have Hulu plus live TV.
Alrighty, guys, back on the show of shows. Got Mike from Mike and Mike on a Mic podcast. Sorry about that, Mike. I had to do that little on a mic. You know what I mean?
I love it, man. I love it.
Yeah. So we're talking about, the differences versus what is right here in America, right? We need to basically heal this nation, so to speak, and the aspect here. With that being said, Mike, I want to turn the tides here a little bit and kind of get into the sports world here. A lot of stuff happening, man. What's your insight on the whole Aaron Rodgers story?
Yeah. Can we leave Aaron Rodgers alone? You know what I'm saying? Like, look, the man, okay, maybe he wasn't honest about everything, but we're talking about the COVID situation. Is that what we're talking about? Him lying about COVID?
Well, yeah, we're talking about we're talking about a mixture of things with Aaron Rodgers. We're talking about the COVID thing,
retirement looming.
Yeah, obviously, he kind of touched on that on the Pat McAfee show. If you've seen that,
where he was like, that dude's interesting, man.
Yeah, Pat was like, How are you, bro? Like, what's going on with COVID? You're right there, huh? Huh? You know, he kind of reminds me of me. He gets a little energetic, you know, and I love it about him, you know. But yeah, so we're talking about the COVID thing. We're also talking about possibly if he's going to re-sign, you know, in the NFL, if he's going to, you know, re-sign his contract. You know, a lot of touch on that. He did post an Instagram posting the other day. If you checked out his Instagram account, where he basically kind of gave a thank you to his teammates. Did you see that?
I didn't. I can tell you where he's going to go though if he does go somewhere. Maybe it's just because I'm biased, but he'll probably take Tom Brady's place over in Tampa and win one more Super Bowl with the Bucs.
You think
I called
so?
it. Just say I called. No, and I'd love it if he did that. You know, I'm a huge Bucs fan, but who knows? Maybe he's thinking like, okay, so if Brady can do it, can I do it? You know?
So he wants to be like Brady 2.0, pretty much.
You know, there's a lot of talk. Brady's the GOAT, rightfully so. 3 decades of championships. You know, a championship in 3 decades. That's crazy. But Aaron Rodgers, I feel he probably feels it too. Like they kind of look him over. And he's done a good body of work. Is he a Tom Brady? No. But what would it say about his legacy if he could go to a team and take them to the next level, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's definitely dominated the league, such as Brady. I mean, you know, he's going to go down as probably one of the all-time greats along with Brady, you know, Terry Bradshaw. I mean, you know, the Eli brothers, Eli and, you know, Peyton. He's going to go down. Yeah, he's going to go down as one of the greatest. You know, he definitely holds a spot in the NFL Hall of Fame. Yeah, without a doubt. You know.
Yeah. And he gets attacked unfairly. You know, I mean, let's give the guy a break. You know what I'm saying? He's out there busting his butt.
Well, check this video out here, guys. I want to plug this video into the podcast here of Stephen A. You know who I'm talking about on Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big Mouth Steven. That's what I call him. But, check this video out, guys.
Nobody's throwing any shade on that. But once you come back into this realm and you start talking about your future and you're treating it like it needs to be headline news, like a soap opera leading into what's Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? Then we're entitled to say, okay, let's look at what you've done. And the last time we saw you, Jimmy Garoppolo, porn star Jimmy, walked off a Lambeau Field with his hand raised at your expense. And I understand it wasn't him. It was special teams that did most of the damage. Special teams of Green Bay, really, which was ill-prepared all season long, Matt LaFleur. But in the end, it still came down to Aaron Rodgers couldn't get 14 points on the board in a playoff game, and for the 11th consecutive season, he went home. That is not somebody that we should be sitting back here every day talking about, what's Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? What's Aaron Rodgers going to do? Hell with it. Do it.
What's your insight on that, Mike?
Look, man, I'm not a huge Stephen A. fan. All right. I understand his job is to get a response. Okay. Right. To elicit a response. Honestly, man, I almost kind of agree with him on this. It's like, do we have to make this into a soap opera? You know what I'm saying? Like what they did with LeBron James years ago with his decision, and we're going to televise it live. And it was like all this drama that was unnecessary too. You know what I'm saying? Bro, you guys are playing a game. Yes, we love the game, but you're playing a game. Okay. It's not like you're deciding on which country you're going to go into and serve all the homeless, or, you know, it's not even that. I'm just saying, like, yes, make up your mind. Let's not drag this out. When you're ready to tell us, let us know, you know, but what happens is the media is like, no, we got to play this out. This is news. People are interested in this.
Yeah. And you notice how Steven hadn't really, plugged in the whole COVID thing. I think they're done with the COVID. You know, like, you know, he should have came clean with the if he was vaccinated, if he was unvaccinated, did he have COVID? he lied to the American people. He played football and had COVID. He's killing everybody. I mean, that's what you've seen on media.
All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast as Mike and myself were chatting about, politics, the cultural divide, sports, and the Word of God. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast, guys. It's been a privilege and an honor to have Mike on the show. With that being said, guys, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one. Remember, guys, you can follow Mike on his podcasts, Mike and Mike on a Mike podcast. He is on Spotify, Google, and Apple, as well as following him on his church. He is a family pastor at Impact Discovery Church in Fort Pierce, Florida, which will be in the show notes. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.
You just heard an episode of the Patriot Angle Podcast, an Anchor platform.